This is episode 84 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Gino Barbaro. Gino is an investor, author, and entrepreneur. He owns over about 2,000 multifamily units, 250 million under management, father of 6 kids, author of 3 books, and the co-founder of the Jake and Gino community, which is built as the premier multifamily real estate educational community. Gino, welcome to the show.
Jonathan, doing great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you. I'm excited to go down this rabbit hole with you. And I want to start here because I think a lot of people know you guys as the Jake and Gino community, but I don't know if they know this. How did you first get interested in real estate?
The year was 2002. So it's a long time ago. And my father said, real estate's a good thing, Gino. When you listen, your dad's name is Vito, you tend to listen to Vito. You know what I'm saying? Because else Vito's going to, But anyway, I digress. I love my father, just an amazing mentor. And he's just my dad. I've been working with him since I was 8 years old. And we had a restaurant at the time. So my father had the restaurant with my mom. They owned the building. So I was paying them rent. And we had 3 apartments upstairs. So mom is getting paid every day, whether it rains, snows, she's at home sleeping, but Gino working in the kitchen. If we have a bad day, we lose power, it snows outside, Gino's not getting paid. So that was already in my brain saying, I'm doing this W-2 job. I pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I figure out, wow, I just created a job for myself. So how do I create this other income? So fast forward to 2002, there's literally 0.3 of a mile from the restaurant, a 3-family home for sale. Brick. It looked like a war zone. It looked like Chernobyl, but that was okay because I said, hey, I could fix it. I could do all the work. I had a garage where I could store my supplies for the restaurant. And I started with the 3-unit with my brother. We bought it in 2002. We overfixed. I mean, the retaining walls, it's like the Great Wall of China, Jonathan. At the property. Beautiful. I made all my mistakes on that one. I thought I'd learn my mistakes into the future and made more, but that was the real first taste, Jonathan, because for me, I couldn't fix and flip. I had the restaurant, so I needed to do something that was quote unquote part-time while I'm doing my side hustle. I can still work at the restaurant.
But growing up, like, did your parents talk about the building that the restaurant was in as an investment, or was it just like, well, we're running the restaurant out of here, we get money from upstairs?
It was a very interesting conversation with the family because, both my parents were born in Italy. They had a little bit of a scarcity mindset because living in Italy in the 40s and 50s, it was very difficult. I mean, you're during World War II, you got Germans walking into the house, taking your food. There's just not any abundance there. So I had that savings mentality. Read the psychology of money. It was all about saving for us. And it wasn't really about enjoying as much, although we did a lot, but it was save, save, save. So save to buy that asset, save to buy that property for your retirement. So it was drilled into me early on at an early age. So I understood that at that level. But for me to continue with the business, I said, I want to continue to buy these assets on the side. So one day, hopefully I can leave the restaurant and go into real estate full time.
Yeah. I can think that parents of that generation coming over were just hoping like you didn't have to go through the struggles that they went through. So it's savings. But something must have clicked in you either before or after Rich Dad, Poor Dad to say like, I can do both. I can help get the restaurant, keep it going, but I also want something, more. I want, multiple streams of income. Was it the book or was it something that you just really wanted to do more? You knew you didn't want to work in the restaurant forever.
Yeah, it was 2007 when my father passed away. And I remember it was a Labor Day weekend. We had the funeral on Monday of Labor Day, actually. And I remember saying to myself, is this my dad's dream or is this my dream? And then the Great Recession comes and everyone gets wiped out, including restaurants. And I'm working harder. I'm making less. And that's when I reflected. I picked up another book from T. Harv Eker, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I had been blaming Obama. I had been blaming Bush. I was blaming the economy. And he basically said in that book, your fruits are in your roots. Basically, and I wanted that. If I'd met T. Harv at the time, I would have punched him in the face the first time I read it. But to me, it's a gut punch because everything he's saying in the book, it's truth. And I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the ability to create more money. And all of that time leading up to that time I read the book, those results was from what I had generated in my life. And once I understood that, and I said, I need to become responsible, I just took that to heart. And I said, I have to learn this multifamily things. I've made a couple of other mistakes. So I started getting educated. I started with the mentorships. And fortunately for me, in 2009, I met my partner, Jake, who was a pharmaceutical rep, who was taking food out of the restaurant. And we connected. And then 18 months later, Jake moves down to Knoxville. I mean, that was another blessing in disguise. See, so everyone said, "Oh, you're really lucky and all," but you can be as lucky as you want. If you don't put in the work and you don't have an intention and you don't focus, that luck will dissipate. He moves down there. 18 months after he moves down, we buy our very first deal. I know I cut a lot of stuff out of there, but I had always had that quote unquote wanting to build a business, wanting to become an entrepreneur, and having that solopreneur mentality with my father and being there. I was sort of stuck in that mold. And then when I got into multifamily, everything changed. It's all of a sudden, real estate's a business. It's not just an asset. It's not just, hey, a property. It's not just a cash flowing thing. You can build a scalable business with multifamily, and you can actually start employing people and put systems and processes in that I should have done with the restaurant, but I didn't want to work on the weekends. I didn't want to work on Christmas. I didn't want to work on the holidays. This multifamily thing was so much different and so much, I don't want to say easier, but it really was the blueprint to creating wealth long-term.
When I finally, I was always investing the whole time, but 10 years ago, I got my license and my sister said to me, like, what were you doing? Like, we could have saved all this money. We would have had access. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So now I do on market as well. But yeah, that really resonates with me. And I think like, we were connecting before about, mindset, and this is about being mindful in the approach. And that's part of like understanding yourself. But so having 6 kids, that also puts a extra income thing out there that you want to get to. Has that had a big impact on you as a father to say like, I want to make sure that my kids are not only understand the long-term assets, but that I'm making sure they have things that are going to make money for them before they even know it.
For those fathers out there that are using their kids as an excuse to get into something different or take a risk, I have 3 words for you, or 4. Suck it up, buttercup. Don't ever use your kids as an excuse, because that's all it is. And that's what I was doing. And my mom would say to me, hey, you have 4 mouths to feed at the time, or you have 5, you can't take a risk. My mom actually did not know that I was investing with Jake until we had 200 units. And I said, Mom, by the way, I'm investing in about a year. And she was flabbergasted. And I do that just because I didn't want to hear the negativity. All she was trying to do was protect me. But as far as the children goes, I use that as motivation, because I didn't want my kids to see me come home every day from the restaurant pissed off, disgruntled, being a drag in the family. I'd walk in and I didn't want them to say, oh, Dad's home again. Now I come home and Dad's raring to go. I want all fathers and mothers out there. That's how I want them to live their lives. Don't focus on the money. Focus on the opportunity. The opportunity will come. The money will follow. And as far as the children, I wanted my kids all to become entrepreneurs early on. Unfortunately, that hasn't worked out that way. My 24-year-old is a missionary. Of all the things in the world, she's a mission. That's the last thing I'd expect her to be, right? My 20-year-old, he's my son. He's just amazing. He's getting into business. My 17-year-old, she's doing body work and massage. She loves that. I'm a different Gino than I was 10 years ago. I would have been like, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. Parents, you can't do that. You need to raise them to be able to make those decisions on their own. You're there to provide a safe, healthy, happy environment, to create boundaries. And when they get to be older, you want them to make their decisions. But as far as investing, I've got them in all of my deals. Not all of them, but my 18-year-old and my 24-year-old, they've been invested in our last 3 deals. I want them to put money into it because I want them to understand, hey, you're investing your money, you're delaying your gratification, you're putting money into these deals. When you refinance, that's where you get the money back. And you get capital every single month.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys decide to stay in just multifamily for a reason?
Jonathan, that's the beauty of it. In 2002, I bought that 3-plex, which was supposed to be a 4-plex. I converted it. In 2006, we'll call it the Maserati Mike story, where I invested in a mobile home park with a guy who drove a nice gold Maserati. Lost 172 grand.
Wow.
In 2007, I bought a strip center. In 2008, I bought duplexes up in Rochester. As you can see, I was all over the place.
Yeah.
I finally decided, what do I need to do? And even during these last couple of years where multifamily has been the rage and there's been no deals, I cut everything else out. We could have gone into RV parks. We could have gone into crypto. Yeah. We could have gone into single family. I wanted to become an expert at what we were doing. And I wanted to have that vertically integrated company where we're managing our own assets. And if you're managing your own assets and all of a sudden you decide to change and go into RV parks, well, the management is completely different.
So different.
For those of you out there, just think to yourself, multifamily hasn't had deals in the last couple of years. We bought some small properties, but over this last 8 months, we've gotten 2 deals and we've got our 3rd deal in the contract. It's cyclical. It's going to come back. And there's so much more to work on in this business. If you're not finding deals, build your brand, find investors out there. There's so many other things to do than just deal flow out there. I think that's where we get lost in the weeds. But to answer your question, started out with no process. I met Jake. We found buy right, manage right, finance right. That's our process. And then from there, it's like, okay, all we're doing is multifamily, looking for mom and pops in the Knoxville within 3-hour radius. Let's go. And we haven't deviated from that plan.